Isolated in the middle of the South Atlantic Ocean, 8,000 miles from the UK, the Falkland Islands is a British overseas territory, and the 2,500 strong population are keen to keep it that way. During his time here, the Anglican rector of the Falklands, the Reverend Richard Hines, has visited nearly every corner of his 6,000 square mile parish. But now he's coming up for retirement, and these are his last precious months here on the islands.
I've seen the Andes Mountains and I've seen the Rocky Mountains and so on. But the Falkland Islands easily is alongside them in terms of beauty.
It's June in the Southern Hemisphere and winter is officially here. But the bitter cold doesn't stop the scouts commemorating the Battle of Mount Tumbledown.
As dawn was breaking on the morning of the 14th of June, the Scots Guards, who I managed to get to the top end there, we were just to the top of the cross.
And on a farm outside Stanley, Lisa is getting the pints in and preserving a bit of Falklands heritage.
It's always been a way of life here. There was no other way around it. It was like everybody milked cows years ago because there was no other milk.
Government House in Stanley has been the home of the governors of the Falkland Islands since 1845. Over the years, it's played host to many important guests, including the famous polar explorer Sir Ernest Shackleton, who described his stay there as being far colder than any time he'd spent on the ice. Luckily, central heating has warmed things up a bit, and the house is now a much more welcoming place. The new governor, Colin Roberts, is the 35th to hold the post. For the next 4 years, in the absence of the Queen, he'll be the island's de facto head of state. But having only recently arrived, his first job is to get on with the unpacking.
Our son's toys, or at least that's what it says on the box. Best magic tricks.
Colin has previously been posted to Japan and Lithuania, where he was ambassador.
If you're a diplomat, basically, you will spend most of your life in a big city, because most diplomatic missions inevitably are in a capital or in a big regional city. This is an opportunity to do a job which is really interesting. Yes, we're in a capital here in Stanley, but this is by the sea, in the hills, 5 minutes from the beach. And thinking, as inevitably we did do before we came here, about our children and our dog. That's an important part of the decision. Where it's a wonderful place to come and live.
Colin's wife, Camilla, is also a diplomat, but she's been on unpaid leave since their 2 sons were born. The boys are now 12 and 10 and are at boarding school in the UK, but will be coming out to join their parents for holidays.
I've got to sort these for the different rooms. Because people usually like to see a few private photographs up in the public areas, and then we want some private ones in our areas, so it feels more like home and more like our house. It's really just a question of working out what's suitable for where. There's quite a lot of the Queen already in the drawing room, so maybe I'll go on there somewhere. And I had 9 boxes I sorted out this morning. I'm down to the spices and things I haven't yet sorted.
Camilla has also packed some of their favourite foods that they wouldn't want to be without.
So my jams and things, which actually need to find a proper home. So this is a real old-fashioned larder. You can feel the temperature drop as you come in. All my unpacking, which is lovely, it's so nice to see. We've got tinned peppers and some red cabbage and some sauerkraut. But I've got lots and lots of stuff from the UK that's difficult to get here or expensive.
A big factor in making this official residence feel like a home will be the arrival of the family dog. 18-month-old Bonnie, a Welsh Springer Spaniel, is currently at sea on a military cargo ship travelling down from the UK. she's due to arrive in a couple of days' time.
I'm not even sure what the vessel is.
And Stanley vet Steve Pointing will be there to greet her.
What happens is that although the dog's been treated for against worms and fleas just prior to leaving the UK, we repeat that down here because we don't have any fleas in the country, so we want to be absolutely certain we don't allow any fleas in. And the reason we insist on all the vaccinations you've had done is because we don't vaccinate any of the dogs that are born on the islands, because we don't have any of those diseases, so it's an added cost and expense that people here don't need to go through. But those dogs would be 100% susceptible to all the common dog diseases if it was introduced.
It's a lovely place for a dog to be here.
Oh, it is. Fantastic place for a dog.
All those open spaces, she'll have a wonderful time.
She will. And I advise you to read my article in the Penguin News today.
I haven't got my copy yet, but yes, do.
Well, the article on the front page is all about
I can see the headline.
if it's your dog, then it's your mess, right? So I recommend that you read that, right?
Over at the Deanery, the Reverend Richard is preparing to go on an expedition. And after 7 years here in the South Atlantic, he's not going to get caught out by the weather.
The basic equipment for going anywhere in the Falkland Islands, even in summer, is merino wool and silk thermals, black, regulation order for clergy, woolly hat, muffler, de rigueur, at least one pair of gloves.
He and his wife Jen are going to join a party of local Cub Scouts to climb Mount Tumbledown, 4 miles west of Stanley.
And that should tide us over if it gets very chilly up there.
I was in the Cubs in Norfolk, and just at the time when I was due to become a scout, I went away to boarding school in Norfolk to a place called Wyndham College, so I never was actually a scout.
The man in charge of shepherding Richard, Jen and a troop of Cub Scouts safely up the mountain is Tim Miller. Tim leads this annual expedition to commemorate the Battle of Mount Tumbledown, which saw some of the fiercest fighting of the whole Falklands War.
Get yourself belted up in there.
All right, have fun.
This is 9-year-old Hugh's second time on the trip.
Do you know how many Cubs you're actually going to?
About 23, I think. We go up every 13th of June, which is the anniversary of the date of the Battle of the Scots Guards on the 9th to 13th. And that was one of the last battles in the fight for Stanley. We think it's important that the younger generation today learn about what happened. Then hopefully in 30 or 40 years' time, they will be taking the future generation of youngsters up some of the hilltops and remembering what happened in 1982, and in particular remembering the tragic human cost of lives.
Peter?
At the foot of the mountain, Tim and Hugh meet up with Tim's wife Jan and the rest of the party.
Got the Falklands flag, there's the Scouts flag, there's the Scottish flag, or there's the Guards flag.
Can I carry the Guards?
Yep, you can have the Guards flag. Yep, you are. You can have the Falkland Island one. Here we are. In here, we have some poppy crosses with the names of 3 of the Scots Guards who were killed up here in the battle 32 years ago tonight, and also the buried cap of one of the soldiers who was killed up here. And the Scots Guards veterans, they've asked, could the Cubs please find a spot and bury this cap up on the top of the mountain for them.
This kind of memorial and thanksgiving is part of daily life here, and as rector, Richard has been involved in many such commemorations over the years.
Here in the Falkland Islands, individual people's names are remembered, and little acts of remembrance by people who knew them or on behalf of others take place. It is a specific kind of way of remembering a unique life, as well as a general thanksgiving and a sense of debt that's owed.
get to the top. Woo.
At 250 metres, Mount Tumbledown rises up behind Stanley, dominating the surrounding area. On June 13th, 1982, it was occupied by highly trained Argentine Marines, who, from their strategic high point, could effectively prevent British troops from retaking the capital and ending the war. The task of attacking Tumbledown was given to the 2nd Scots Guards. They advanced under covering fire from 3 other regiments and 2 battleships down in the bay.
Hugh,
Yes?
you see this hole here?
Yeah.
Do you know what made that?
What, a bomb?
Well, a sort of a bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been a gun, a shell,
Yeah.
fired from one of the British ships, one of the Royal Navy ships, helping the Scots Guards.
Yeah.
Well, they were firing all their big guns. You see, the Argentines would be very sensibly, would be in their shelters with their heads down for protection. So that would enable the Scots Guards to get closer and closer.
We were just walking in, it's hard. They've got to run and everything.
And they were having to run and carry their rifle, their guns and their ammunition and fight a battle on the way up.
Quite a lovely afternoon. I wasn't sure what to expect. Tim and Jan said, come as our guests, you don't have to do anything. And I thought, liked the idea of that.
Everything is going well. You know, the weather is clearing up nicely. It's up on our side, and nobody seems to be flagging too far behind. So I think all's going well. He's bringing up the tail end. The regimental flag is at the rear.
Most farms on the Falklands keep a few cattle, but the cost of buying in special feed to supplement the poor grazing here means that numbers are always pretty small, and they are almost all beef cattle. But 7 miles outside Stanley, Murrell Farm, belonging to Lisa Lowe, is one of the exceptions.
Willow, where are you?
Amongst her small herd of Ayrshire crosses, Lisa keeps a few much-loved dairy cows.
I think I started milking cows when I was probably, my earliest memories was when I was about 5-year-old with my sisters. It's always been a way of life here. There was no other way around it. It was like everybody milked cows years ago because there was no other milk. And, well, there was condensed milk and there was the ideal milk and some horrible powdered milk. But then again, people didn't have the money to buy it either in those days. There is very few people nowadays that milk cows. And even out round the camp, everybody has packet milk, UHT, really. That's you finished, faggy. Out you go. Mal, where are you? Come on. Come on. Outside of Stanley, you've got to be basically a jack of all trades, really, because, you know, you never know when your electricity's going to go up the creek, or this time of the year your water freezes, and you can't just call a plumber or electrician all the time. Island people have to be hardy, don't they, really? Not a bit.
Lisa's parents bought Murrell Farm in 1980. 2 years later, war came to the islands and took a heavy toll on Falklands farmers, many of whom lost most of their animals. When they heard about this back in the UK, British farmers responded, and in 1983, a ship was sent south with a very special cargo on board.
Yes, it's one of these bits. I don't tear it. Operation Noah's Ark. A lot of people around England donated animals down to the Falklands after the conflict to replace a lot of the animals that were lost. Horses and cattle were either blown up with mines or shot off by the Argentines to eat. I would say all the cattle here on the farm now are descendants to those that came on the ship, but 3-4 generations further along the way. Don't want to ever go through that again. Never, never, never. It brings everything back. Brings everything right back, you know.
It's a cold, clear Falklands morning, and Vet Steve is on his way to the military port at Mare Harbour, where he'll welcome to the islands a new VIP, a very important pet.
It's not any old dog. No, this is the dog belonging to the new governor. He arrived back in April, and the governor's wife. We've already got something from the vet in England to say that it was fit and healthy just before it embarked on the voyage, and we will make sure that in the 3 weeks that it's taken to come down here, that it's just as fit and healthy on arrival as it was on departure.
Bonnie the Spaniel is waiting aboard what's known as a Falkland Islands resupply ship. 2 such ships each make 5 journeys a year from the UK, bringing everything from military equipment to food supplies and building materials. Space for pets is limited, so Bonnie's slot was booked 6 months ago.
I can hear a dog. I heard a dog barking. And you must be Bonnie. Hello, Bonnie. How are you? How are you? You're going to be seeing your owners very soon. Yes, you will. I thought I don't need to examine her too closely to know that that looks like an extremely healthy dog. We'll read the microchip if we can keep it still long enough to read the microchip. Are we going to have a still... Oh, no, I've got it first time. I got it first time. Well done. So that dog is the dog it should be. Now we're going to worm the dog, trying to hide it as best I can. Here we are. What about that? What about that?
Bonnie gets a final dose of anti-flea treatment, and she's ready to take her first steps on Falklands soil.
Bonnie, come on, let's go and meet your owners. Hey, she's doing what she should do. Look, she's sniffing. First time to Falkland Islands. Who's that? Who's that? There we are.
Absolutely wonderful. She doesn't look fussed at all by her journey, actually, does she?
No, she doesn't. Oh, you're beautiful, aren't you?
We're conscious that we're going to have to control her quite well, or we'll have some issues with Falkland Islands conservation and a few others. As for penguins, I think we're going to have to leave that for quite a while before we introduce her to penguins, otherwise we're really going to be in trouble.
Back at Government House, Bonnie wastes no time checking out her new digs.
These rugs have been put down just to help protect the carpets and guard a bit against white dog hair all over the red. Oops, upstairs. Official residences and dogs are always a slightly surprising mixture. Slightly eyes in the back of your head. She is still quite a puppy in many ways, and she will chew cushions and run off with them.
The long journey down acted as a quarantine period, but it'll be a couple of days before Bonnie's worm and flea treatments take effect, and she can finally be let loose on the great Falklands outdoors. Back on Murrell Farm, and after a hard morning's milking, Lisa has around 2 gallons of the white stuff to dispose of. Most of it will be distributed to a select group of loyal customers, either as milk or cream.
You've got to be a bit careful when you turn it on. If it goes through too quick, it won't separate properly. You've got the cream coming. When it gets up to this black mark, it's half a pint, and that's what most people have. Proper cow's cream is pretty much like gold dust. Normally, if I put it on Facebook, if I have an excess, it's gone within a couple of minutes. But what I don't sell, I make up into butter. And this is the butter that we make from the cream. That's probably nearly £2 of butter.
Tell me about the containers you sell the milk in.
Well, we like rum to drink, and I prefer to use glass rather than plastic because you can sterilise the glass ones. Most important piece, my list. My list.
Each bottle of milk sells for £1. It's a lot of effort for not that much financial reward. But for Lisa, it's all about keeping the old traditions alive.
Well, people wouldn't know what, as I put it, real milk is. Yeah, because even what you get in England is totally different because it's pasteurised. Where this isn't pasteurised, this is as it comes from the cow. So it's in its raw state, I suppose is the way you put it. And the reason we put them there, in the summer, when the sun's shining, they're always in the shade. I think people have just got so used to the packet milk, the UHT milk and the squirted cream or the packets of cream and things like that. But for me, it's part of my life. It's part of what I do, you know.
Yeah, we're not going up to the cross yet. Dean, don't rush around, please.
Reverend Richard, Tim Miller and the Scouts are an hour into their climb up Mount Tumbledown.
Here they come, lads. Look, look!
Oh, that was cool. I watched him do a somersault.
We contact the 1435, the Typhoon flight, and we're only always too happy to come and give us a little bit of a fly past like that. And it, you know, it sort of makes it a little bit more special for the kids as well. Right. Who hasn't been up here before? I'll just tell you quickly, just a little bit about the battle that happened here 32 years ago tonight. The Argentines were they'd been up here for quite a few weeks. They had lots of very good, strong positions, with lots of stones and rocks in front of them so they could hide behind. And it was the job of the Scots Guards to capture this mountain, capture Mount Tumbledown. And as dawn was breaking, the morning of the 14th of June, the Scots Guards managed to get to the top end there where we could just see the top of the cross. I would say, push them in the ground, I'd say with the back of the cross towards the rock.
Just below the summit, they plant their poppy crosses and bury the beret that was entrusted to them by the family of a fallen Scots Guardsman.
This is his uniform cap. Obviously he wasn't wearing this at the time, he'd be wearing his helmet. But it would have been with him in his pack. And this is the one that his family have said they would like the cubs to bury up here on the top of Mount Tumbledown for them. Their son died, he was killed here in the fighting. Do you want to place it in the hole? Fill the Scots lad on? Yeah, yeah. There we are.
At the top of the mountain, a cross made out of steel commemorates the 9 British soldiers that were killed during the battle.
Yeah, we have there the ammunition box, old ammunition box, and inside here are all the cleaning kit. All the memorial sites in the Falklands have got one of these alongside them in the hope that anybody and everybody who comes up to a memorial will then spend a couple of minutes polishing it up and cleaning everything up again. And so we always give this one, the Scots Guards one, a good thorough clean every time we come up.
For once, it won't be Richard leading the prayers. The Cubs have prepared a service to honour the dead.
Almighty God, grant that the Scots Guards who wear the cross of thy holy apostle may follow thy son with impunity, be made stronger in brotherhood and fierce against all enemies of our Saviour.
I thought they conducted their little service beautifully. It's a very hands-on, a very real, tangible thing that they do to honour the people who are remembered by those blocks and that cross. I go home and always remember I said my thank you with others for the Falkland Islands.
At at the Stanley Vet Surgery, it's good news. Bonnie the dog, recently arrived from the UK, has just been given the all clear from her quarantine, and she and Camilla are heading to Surf Bay.
I'm taking her to the nearest beach to Stanley because I think she needs to let off some steam, having been on a lead for the last month. So I'm expecting that she will see the sea and the beach and be in heaven. Look at that, Bonnie. Oh, you can't wait, can you? Wonderful to have her here. Just sailed over half the world to get to us. It's a wonderful place to have a dog. With all the outside open space, I can't really imagine anything more fun for her. Bonnie!
Next time, it's Liberation Day, and the crew of HMS Clyde join the islanders for the commemorations.
We led such a sheltered life in the Falklands prior to 1982. When somebody takes your country away from you and suddenly you get it back, it is very difficult to describe the emotions.
Right, come on, Richard, let's go.
And Reverend Richard and Vet Steve brave the colds for the annual midwinter swim.